Welcome to the Transnet podcast. My name is Zimasa Vabaza, and we are live from Durban at the Transport Evolution Africa Forum and Expo. And today we're unpacking the different aspects of Transnet's input into the nation's logistics economy. And engineering is a major part of that. And with me today, I've got the principal engineer, Charl Koch. Charl, how are you?
No, I'm good, and yourself?
Great. I always love speaking to people that are like math whizzes and brainiacs, like engineers. I think you guys are, you build the world around us, right?
Thanks.
And you keep the economy moving and things happening, right? And I think engineers don't get enough plaudits, and we need more engineers and we need more people like you explaining what it is that you actually do. So with that, what do you do on a daily basis as a principal engineer at Transnet?
All right, no, thanks for that one. So I'm currently the principal engineer for system integration and verification. So what we would typically do is whenever there's any rolling stock, specifically on the traction side, locomotives and coaches, we would look at the systems of it on the system side and see what we can do, what we can change, what we can improve or modernize to improve the efficiency overall of these vehicles. After that's done, we head over to verification. So that's where we would head into, let's say, line testing, lab testing, static testing, dynamic testing, where you typically get all your ISO certifications and so on. So after we're done with the daily job, we have a certified unit running safely in the field, as efficient as possible.
Good, great. So I want you to maybe give us a look into, I want to kind of place it like this, where we understand that a lot of the rolling stock that we've got throughout the business and all the assets that we have, they're getting on in terms of age-wise. So obviously the way you maintain them and how you keep them kind of like singing becomes a little bit more difficult. In terms of the utilization, the efficiency of the equipment that we have, what plans do you guys have, and what are some of the results that you're seeing in terms of keeping and extending the life plan, the efficient lifespan of assets within Transnet? How are you guys working around that?
Okay, so it's a bit of a packed question. Firstly, we have a fleet that's split in basically the new age fleet and then the legacy fleet. So the new age was like the typical 1064 that happened. We've built the Trans-Africa locomotive. So that's typically where you would introduce the new assets into your operations. On the older side, the legacy side, we're busy with various projects where there's obsolete components. You run into an engine that's no longer being supported by the OEM. So now we need to see what we can do. Can we replace it? Can we add a new alternator system, a new PCC or traction system? A lot of these locomotives are still running on a very, very legacy type of control system and control architecture for propulsion. And that's where you want to optimize. You want to try and get the latest in that works with a legacy locomotive. And there's various challenges and limitations on it. But that's where the engineering comes in, and that's where the fun starts.
Perfect. Now, I also want to look at sort of the significance of what you guys do in terms of getting the business and keeping it profitable. Because I think at times it's people make promises to customers and they say, no, don't worry, our locals are going to be working, our assets will be working, and we'll definitely deliver on the business. But tell me a little bit about how profitability impacts how you guys work at TE, and how I would say you look to be more efficient, but also looking at the costs, right? How do you make things cost effective but still keep the assets working, but also to increase profitability? I want to understand that in terms of how you guys work.
Okay, so we do have, let's say, different businesses within Transnet Engineering specifically now that I can focus on. And you would, let's say, for instance, on the manufacturing side, they would get an order, for instance, of a certain locomotive type or wagons or so on. And obviously the person putting in the order expects the minimum price, but there's a cost-effective factor to it, like you mentioned now. So that's where the engineering, so the Transnet Engineering side, with engineering within the Transnet Engineering department, that's where we would come in and then evaluate the technology, the cost prices, the hours used on it, the typical support we would have to give, the long life cycle support, and try and work that back into the program
and the cost,
back to the client, and then hopefully that works out or pans on the long run.
I want to look at some of the key projects that you and your team have undertaken that were obviously very much successful, and they stand almost as a shining example of what you guys are able to do. Are there any sort of projects that can come to top of mind that you think this was really, really awesome to work on and was really effective for the business?
Yeah, so there's various projects. On my side, I would say I'm a bit more on the exploratory side.
Yeah.
So any new R&D that would come out, that's where I would usually play. A typical example would be the Trans-Africa locomotive. It's actually on display at the Transnet stand. It's a locally developed and integrated system with our own control system, and we've been there testing that locomotive for a few years to get it perfect for the market, and it's for the whole SADC region. It can work on all the rails, it can work on any type of infrastructure. It's a diesel locomotive, diesel electric, and that's typically a product that we've developed in-house, and we're ready to sell that one. It's busy running operations already in certain areas to prove the concepts.
Brilliant.
There's alternative projects as well. We have a host of big list of projects we can mention. But for instance, I think most people would know the 18E locomotive. Yeah. Electric locomotive running on a lot of the 3 kV lines. So this locomotive has been aged for a while, but we've been improving it and keeping it alive, adding new control systems, adding even investigating a propulsion inverter system for it. So that's some examples. Yeah.
That's amazing. I also want to look at sort of, you're speaking about electricity, you're speaking about diesel. Let's look at some of the initiatives that you as Transnet Engineering are undertaking relative to the green economy, relative to the climate conscious sort of posture that the globe is now taking. What are some of the initiatives that you as Transnet Engineering are pushing within that greener space relative to the assets, the fleets, etc.?
Okay, no, definitely. This is usually a fun one. So, specifically on the older fleet, the legacy fleet, that's where we play. That's the sandbox area for us. Yeah. So we are looking into different technologies. The hydrogen space is quite big. Everyone is raving about it. So obviously that's on our plans as well. There's fuel cell research going on. We have an R&D department within TE as well, looking at the hardcore stuff. Yeah. On the locomotive side, we've been speaking to various suppliers on changing out or substituting some of the diesel fuel with liquid natural gas, compressed natural gas, all for internal combustion kits that we can place onto the locomotives. We have a project running where we are looking into using battery technology to allow diesel locos to run through tunnels. So hopefully there's enough alternatives for us to keep the fleet rolling even in 2050 when the new Paris Agreement kicks in officially. Well, when we should be ready then. Yeah.
You have a cool job.
Yeah, no, I believe so. Yeah.
you make stuff. You think of stuff and you make it. That's amazing. I want to look maybe at how your work fits into the pit to port experience, and also how you guys assist to move cargoes a lot more efficiently. Because I think at times we think it's just only when the locos are standing, when they're being maintained, etc. But there's also just an incredible value chain that TE looks after and makes sure that it underpins a lot of what happens. So what is your involvement from a pit to port perspective in terms of TE? Just overview stuff.
Okay, so we have various projects. And I want to take it from pit to port all the way. So we have various projects where we've installed slow-speed controllers on locomotives, for instance. So taking a legacy locomotive and installing a controller that allows this locomotive to move at, let's say, 0.4 kilometers per hour. Wow. That is very slow. And it moves through the loading towers. It allows a smooth operation without spillage. Then we want to improve efficiency of the propulsion systems. So where that adhesion kicks in. So everyone on the rail side would know, as soon as they mention adhesion, that's the main thing. And then the propulsion, the power of it, of the traction system. So we try and improve that, improve the fuel efficiency. That's the next part. When you get to the port, this is an example of where the Trans-Africa is currently running. You have from your yard to your tipplers. Typically, you would have to pull it through the tippling system. To allow the discharge of the commodity. And currently we have products running there, which is very reliable at this point. It's running. It's I want to say 2 or 3 locomotives that we've developed is replacing a legacy of perhaps 8 locomotives that they had to have on standby. Wow. So the efficiency is there, the products are there. We just need to use it more.
Brilliant stuff. And I just want to look at the future. I want to look at what does it look like when everything is going well, when all the projects that you guys are working on now, conceptualizing, and you did say a lot more R&D is happening. So I want to understand moving forward, when everything is working well and everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet, what does that look like?
Yeah, I would say for me that not almost like a dream would be, right?
Yeah.
Where we have a open and a free partnership type of program where we can say we have a lot of skills, right? We have it internal, but there's also skills we don't have. and we want to be able to work with a partner to say, okay, let's take this locomotive, let's upgrade it, let's build a new one. We need a new propulsion system. We can bring this to the table. This is what you bring to the table, and we work together to actually build these fleets for the economy of South Africa. It should be a partnership and a collaboration, and hopefully locally we can have all that skills available. We shouldn't be reaching overseas to get what we need. Everything is here. We should just use it.
Brilliant. And with that, I want to thank you for your time, for your expertise. I want to thank you also for maybe highlighting something that I also personally believe is really key, which is South African engineering prowess should be celebrated and should be given a bigger platform. We should get more people in tune, understanding engineering, how it works, why it works, and how it helps our daily lives. Thank you, Charl, Principal Engineer at Transnet.
Thank you.
Thank you.